Tonight we dive into the shadows where forgotten whispers and chilling secrets await. Welcome to Phantom Reverberations. If you enjoy eerie tales that send shivers down your spine, don't forget to subscribe.
In the shadows, it waits. You feel it creeping closer, but you can't run. The whispers, they know your name. The darkness calls, and it will never let you go. Horror stories with Phantom Reverberations.
Tonight we've brought you 4 terrifying stories from places where the past refuses to rest. Let's begin with our first tale. They say schools are supposed to be filled with laughter, learning, and bright memories. But in one small town in Pennsylvania, there's a high school where the night janitor swears he isn't alone, and what he experienced still haunts him to this day. It was late, well past midnight, when Mr. Roberts, the school's night janitor, was finishing up his shift. The long corridors were silent, the kind of silence that presses against your ears. His footsteps echoed along the linoleum floor as he pushed his cleaning cart, the fluorescent lights above flickering and buzzing faintly. Turning a corner, he stopped. The faint sound of footsteps trailed behind him, soft, quick, and unmistakable. He spun around. The hallway was empty. Shaking his head, he muttered, "Long night. Too much coffee." But as he pushed forward, he noticed something chilling. Every locker door on the left side of the hallway was slightly open. He was sure he had closed them earlier. When he reached the last one, his blood froze. Inside was a child's shoe, dusty, small, and completely out of place. He set it back inside, shut the locker firmly, and stepped back. And then, it slammed open again. A sharp bang echoed down the hallway, followed by a giggle. A child's giggle. Mr. Roberts dropped his flashlight, the beam spinning wildly across the walls, and in that moment he saw it, just at the far end of the hall. A shadow, small and human-shaped, darting across the corridor. Heart pounding, he ran to the main doors, fumbling with the keys. Behind him, lockers slammed shut one by one, each bang closer than the last. When he finally burst outside into the cold night, the sound stopped. The next morning, when he returned with the principal, every locker was neatly closed, except one. The very same locker, inside it the shoe was. If that first story made you look over your shoulder, make sure you're subscribed. And tell us in the comments, what kind of haunted places should we cover next? Let's move on to the second story. Most hospitals are built to heal, but some carry scars so deep that the walls themselves seem to bleed with memories. The Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum is one such place, where staff, visitors, even skeptics have all sworn they saw something they could never explain. In the mid-1800s, the asylum opened its doors, promising treatment for the mentally ill. But overcrowding, neglect, and cruelty soon turned it into a house of suffering. Thousands died inside those walls, and many were buried in unmarked graves on the property. Today, parts of the asylum are open for tours, but not everyone who enters comes out the same. A few years ago, a small group of paranormal investigators were allowed inside for an overnight stay. One of them, a man named Daniel, was skeptical. He carried his camera and recorder, laughing at every sound. But as midnight drew near, the laughter stopped. In one hallway, lined with peeling paint and rusted gurneys, Daniel heard a faint scream. He thought it was one of his friends playing a trick, until he realized the others were on the opposite side of the building. His recorder picked it up clearly, a woman's cry for help, followed by heavy breathing, as if someone was standing right behind him. Daniel spun around. No one was there. Then out of the corner of his eye, he saw movement. A figure in a hospital gown slowly crossed the hallway, disappearing into a locked room. Heart pounding, he forced himself to follow, pushing the door open. The room was empty, except for the sound of water dripping. And then, his camera shut off. Dead battery, though it had been fully charged moments earlier. In the darkness, he felt a cold hand brush against his shoulder. He bolted out, screaming. Later, when he replayed the recorder, a voice whispered clearly into the mic, "Don't leave me here." Even to this day, Daniel refuses to speak about that night without shaking. The asylum remains one of America's most haunted places. And those who visit often say, sometimes you don't just walk through history, history walks with you. And now let's move to our third story. In the quiet countryside of Cornwall, there's a bridge the locals avoid after dark. It looks ordinary in daylight, but at night, it becomes something far more sinister. They call it the Devil's Bridge. The legend goes back hundreds of years. According to the story, villagers needed a bridge built over a dangerous river, but no one had the skill or courage to attempt it. Then one night, a stranger appeared, tall, cloaked, with a voice like gravel. He promised to build the bridge overnight, but in return, he demanded the soul of the first living creature to cross it. Desperate, the villagers agreed. By morning, the bridge stood complete, strong, perfect, untouched by mortal hands. But the villagers outsmarted the stranger. Instead of a human, they sent a dog across first. Furious at being tricked, the cloaked man vanished in a storm of fire and smoke. The bridge, however, remained. For centuries, people claimed to hear the dog's howls beneath the stone. And worse, those who crossed at night often said they felt a presence watching them, waiting. Some saw glowing eyes in the shadows. Others claimed an invisible force tried to push them into the river. One traveler in the 1970s recounted being dragged by unseen hands halfway across the bridge. He screamed until headlights appeared, another car approaching. Suddenly, the force let go. Shaking, he drove away and never returned. Even today, locals warn, never be the first to cross that bridge after midnight, because the bargain was never truly broken. The devil is still waiting to collect his due. Finally, let's move to our last story of the night. Some houses don't just hold memories, they trap them. In the dark forests of Kentucky, there's a farmhouse left untouched for over 50 years. Locals call it the house that breathes. The story begins with the Johnson family, who lived there in the 1960s. They were ordinary people until one night, neighbors reported hearing screams. By the time police arrived, the entire family had vanished. No bodies, no signs of struggle, just empty rooms and meals left half-eaten on the table. Over the decades, teenagers dared each other to enter. Most came out laughing, claiming it was just a creepy old house, but others weren't so lucky. One boy, Ethan, entered on a dare. As he stepped into the kitchen, he felt the air shift, like the entire house exhaled around him. Dust swirled, doors creaked, and then he heard footsteps upstairs. He called out, thinking it was his friends, but no one answered. Curiosity got the better of him. He climbed the staircase, flashlight shaking in his hands. At the end of the hall, a door slowly creaked open by itself. Inside was a child's bedroom, frozen in time, tiny toys scattered on the floor, a bed neatly made. Then the breathing started, heavy, ragged, coming from the corner of the room. He raised his flashlight, and there was nothing, just shadows. But when he turned to leave, the door slammed shut behind him. Panicked, Ethan tried to pull it open, but it wouldn't budge. The breathing grew louder, closer, until it was right beside his ear. And then, a voice whispered, "You shouldn't be here." Ethan blacked out. His friends found him outside on the porch, unconscious, with scratches down his arms. To this day, he swears he never stepped back inside. Locals say the Johnsons never left, that the house itself keeps them breathing, waiting for the next visitor. And that wraps up tonight's 4 chilling tales. Which story scared you the most? Let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to subscribe for more terrifying stories every week. Until next time, sleep with one eye open.
In the shadows, it waits. You feel it creeping closer, but you can't run. The whispers, they know your name. The darkness calls, and it will never let you go. Horror Stories with Phantom Reverberations.